Hi everyone, can you all see me? Okay, so last week we started on the first macronutrient of the 3 macronutrients. We did fat last week. So I decided today we're going to carry on with the rest of the macronutrients, going on with carbs today. So carbs form the main part of your diet, and this is because carbs gives you energy. It's also your brain's preferred source of energy. That's why it's so important. That's why without carbs you normally feel sluggish, you feel tired, and you struggle to concentrate. And you can also struggle to remember things. So basically your brain is suffering. So for triathletes, carbs is also important because it gives us energy to perform better. That's why it's so important for us. And we will find carbs in a wide variety of foods, such as your cane sugar, honey, fruits, vegetables, and your starches. And then also on your shrimp and your lobster shells. And then there are 3 main types of carbs that we're going to focus on. The first one is your simple carbs, your complex carbs, and then fiber. So I'm just going to try and show you. I made a board again. Let's see if it comes up nicely. It looks blurred. Can you guys see that, or is it blurred? Maybe it's just loading. Oh, there it goes. Can you see that properly? Everything is on the screen, I hope. Okay, just let me know if something is wrong. Is it still blurred? Okay, it's fine now. Okay, so there's my diagram of complex, simple, and fiber. So let's start with simple carbs on the right-hand side. So simple carbs is basically your cane sugar, your honey, fruits, vegetables, and milk. And cane sugar consists of 1 sugar molecule. And that's why we call it simple, because it's one thing. So simple carbs doesn't require cooking, and they are edible right away. That's how you know it's a simple carb. So simple carbs, the different carbs, the structure isn't the same, but they all break down to one thing, which is glucose. So although we start out with different things, at the end we get the same result. It's just the way that we get there that will be different. But we shouldn't forget that with the breakdown also comes the way in which it is broken down, and all carbs doesn't necessarily start with the same thing. For instance, cane sugar is easily to break down, and then it just gives us energy, whereas we look at milk, it has added benefits such as vitamins and minerals and health benefits, which cane sugar wouldn't have. So although both of those are simple carbs, they aren't necessarily giving us the same health benefits. That's the difference. So there's a lot of different simple carbs, but we still need to consider what health benefits they are giving us. Okay, so that's simple carbs. It's one thing, and it's easy to digest in the body, and it's edible right away. That's how you know it. Now, the second thing is the complex carbs. So complex carbs have a whole lot of different sugar molecules, about 2,000 of them all stuck together. That's why it's called complex. So it's just like the cane sugar, but just a lot of them stuck together. And how do you know it's a complex carb? It's when you need to add water in order for you to be able to eat it. So you first need to cook it so that all these complex molecules separate, and then you are able to eat it. And the reason why it's stuck together like that is because normally your complex carbs you get in the cell structure of a plant. So for instance, the outside of your plant needs to be like a hard structure in order for your plant to not bend over and it's perform a structural role. That's why it needs to be a lot of different things stuck together. And examples of complex carbs would be your bread, your starches, your rice, pasta, legumes. All of these things you need to cook in order for you to eat them. Okay, so that's the main difference between the two. Simple is one, complex is a lot, and cook it. Now the third thing we're looking at is fiber. So fiber is also part of your carbs, but fiber doesn't contribute to your energy. You won't get a lot of energy out of fiber. Okay, so fiber also have two categories. The first one is on the right, it's your insoluble, and then on your left is your soluble fiber. There's also two categories there. So let's start with the one on the left, which is your soluble fiber. Soluble, for example, would be your apples, oats, and oranges. And these foods, if you put them in water, they actually absorb the water. And this is important to know because if you eat a lot of soluble fiber, then you also need to consume a lot of water. Because if you don't consume water with your soluble fiber, you will have problems like constipation because it will just absorb all the water and that can form a problem. Okay, so the benefits of soluble fiber, why do we need to eat this, is that, so when your soluble fiber gets absorbed in your gut, it prevents the absorption of your bad fats and your cholesterol. So it actually will prevent you from getting high cholesterol and things like heart disease and diabetes, because it will take the place of the fats. So that is why soluble fiber is good. And now your insoluble fiber on the other side, this you will get in the layers of your bran cereal and in brown rice and vegetables and popcorn. So for instance, if you put popcorn in water, it wouldn't necessarily absorb the water and expand. So that's how you know insoluble fiber, it doesn't absorb water and swell out, and your soluble fiber on the other side does absorb water and swell out. So insoluble fiber, it provides bulk in your diet. That's why that's beneficial. Provides bulk, and then you feel fuller for longer, and it helps you to lose weight. So if you want to know which one helps you to lose weight, it's the one on the right, insoluble. It's very important for that reason. It also prevents constipation as it forms bulk in your diet. And you don't necessarily need to increase extra water. Okay, so in the previous talk, I spoke about like your ratio in your fats, your omega-3 versus your omega-6. And it's the same with fiber. Fiber also needs an equal ratio. So soluble fiber, always 1 versus insoluble fiber 3. So for every 3 insoluble fibers, which is the bulk, you eat 1 soluble fiber. And then your total amount of fiber in your diet needs to be between 25 and 35 grams per day. Total amount that you must eat per day. Okay. So now taking everything I said now into consideration, this is why we normally refer to GI foods. Because in order to eat a variety of different types of carbs, then it helps our blood sugar to stabilize so that we don't only eat simple sugars and then our blood spikes and falls and we feel hungry and tired. If we combine our simple and our complex fiber or carbs, then our blood sugar will spike, but our complex carbs will sustain ourselves so that we still have that energy throughout the day. So that's a little diagram I made at the bottom. It's just to show you that if you combine them throughout the day, then you won't have those tired and fatigue days and feelings that sometimes you have after you exercise a lot, or at the end of the day when you've worked very hard. Also, so if you look on food products, they also have that little diagram at the bottom. So this is my Biogen Carbogen cool drink. And it also shows you that little diagram about the peak in the sugar. So the simple, so this product, they probably then mixed simple and complex carbs to ensure that you don't have that spike and then a plateau. This product will probably have sustained release for a long period of time so that you don't get that fatigue feeling. Okay, so how much carbs do we need to eat per day? So at the top, I just showed you that you need to eat more than 50 grams of carbs per day in order to prevent ketosis. So ketosis is just a form of an energy system that your body can run on. So if, for instance, if you're on ketosis, then your body doesn't run on carbs, where if you're more than 50 grams of carbs per day, then you run on a carb diet. So I'm not going to go too much into that, but for athletes and specifically endurance athletes like we are doing, the research consensus is to be on a high carb system rather than ketosis. So carbs is the key for us. So now I'm just going to give you simple examples of how to incorporate the simple and the complex and the fiber to get between 25 and 35 grams per day and more than 50 grams of carbs per day. Okay, so last week I spoke about a 1,500 kilocal diet for women and 2,000 for men, just because we're endurance athletes, and that will be about the recommended value per day for us. And I worked out, okay, so I'm just going to take my phone off here to show you how, there you go. Okay, to show you how much carbs do you need. Just going to turn around. Okay. So I hope all of you can see that. Okay, so there in the corner, for breakfast you can have a half a cup of oats. So oats will be your complex soluble fiber. Then for a snack you can have your apple and 1.5 cup of popcorn. The apple will be a simple soluble fiber, and your popcorn will be a complex insoluble fiber. That's about 1.5 cup of popcorn. Then for lunch you have lentils, half a cup of lentils, which will be a complex soluble fiber, and you will have 2 cups of mixed salad greens, which will be also a simple complex mixed with incomplex fibers. And then as a snack again, an orange, which is a simple soluble fiber, and 1.5 cup of popcorn again, which is complex insoluble. And then for dinner, half a cup of brown rice, cooked brown rice, which is complex insoluble. And then your vegetables, I made it half cup of cooked carrots and half cup of broccoli, which is simple insoluble. So if you follow a diet plan similar to this, zoom out, then, sorry, I just needed some water. So if you follow a diet plan similar to this, you can mix and match your stuff around, different fruits and things. Then you will have about 25 to 35 grams of fiber and enough carbs in your diet plan, more than 50 grams. So this amount of fiber that I have here is equal to 88 grams of fiber per day. We'll just put you back. Okay. So that amount of carbs that I had there is about equal to 88 grams of carbs, which is still more than 50 but less than 100 grams. So that's still a low carb diet plan. So anything more than 100 would go to medium carb, and then thereby the 200 grams or higher is a high carb diet plan. But it would all depend on your genes, what amount of carbs you need. And so normally I prefer clients to go for gene testing in order to determine how much you need. And then it also gets determined by the amount of exercise that you do, and your weight and your height. All those factors play a role in determining the amount of carbs and energy you need per day. So normally I would add carbs to a client's diet plan based on the amount of exercise they do, and also the types of carbs and things. So I would suggest, if you do exercise and you are serious about it, that you see a dietitian in order to work all that calculations and things out for you. But if you're just someone that wants to stay healthy, then follow the guidelines that I gave you last week about the amounts of fat, add those to the carbs that I gave you today, and then next week we will speak about the amount of protein you need to add that to your diet plan as well, so that you get more overall amount of food that you need. Do you have any questions? Yeah, so that's it for today. Next week is, like I said, it's about protein. It's also going to be about portion sizes, how much protein, and the types of protein that you need, just to get the overall effect of what actually you need. And if you have any more questions that I didn't answer today, or something you didn't understand, just DM me at Handley_runs. Then I'll get back to you. I will also try to upload this to Instagram. Yeah, that's all. No one has any questions again? I think I covered everything for today, and carbs is quite difficult, so I hope you understood everything. I gave enough examples. I also learned a lot from just doing this talk, as you sometimes forget everything you have to keep in mind. Okay, bye-bye.